Hello, my name is Daniel Scuria-Herman. Today's suggestion comes to us from JP Industry again, because I just found it ironic, the fact that I had started the last intro with, not intro, but just beginning of the video, talking about how Aesop rock wasn't really happy-go-lucky music. But they left a nice comment saying a genuine happy-go-lucky Aesop rock song is no regrets. So I just found it ironic if I just went and watched that after, especially after my last video and the video before that, if I went to go check that out, because it is happy-go-lucky. So, alrighty. You know what? Here's what I'll do for this video. I'm not looking at the lyrics themselves because I want to react to it when I get to it, but just looking at the size of the verse, and it's pretty lengthy. Just because this is something that I hear a lot, I'm going to listen to the entire first verse without pausing. I'm still gonna try to. I'm going to listen to all of that, and then I'm gonna get my comments. See if that works, and let me know if you like that better than my usual format. Anyway. Alright, that's already starting off differently than I expect. Let me set this up so it actually saves the recording. So I already listened to a few seconds of this, accidentally, while I was setting this up. Already, every time I start an Aesop rock song, I'm always surprised by what I hear. This one especially. Let's hear this first verse.
Yo, ask her. Hey, Lucy, come here. Eyes cut it out. Lucy, she didn't hear you. Yo, ask her again. How old are you? Let her alone, me. Lucy, come here. Lucy, she ain't listening to you. Yo, ask her again. Hey, Lucy, how old are you? Lucy. Lucy was 7 and wore a head of blue barrettes. City born into this world with no knowledge and no regrets. Had a piece of yellow chalk with which she drew up on the street the many faces of the various locals that she would meet. There was Joshua, age 10, bully up the block who always took her milk money at the morning bus stop. There was Mrs. Crabtree and her poodle. She always gave a wave and holler on her weekly trip down to the bingo parlor. And she drew men, women, kids, sunsets, clouds. And she drew skyscrapers, fruit stands, cities, towns. Always said hello to passers-by. They asked her why she passed the time attaching lines of concrete, but she would only smile. Now all the other children living in or near her building ran around like tyrants, soaking up the open fire hydrants. They would say, hey, little Lucy, wanna come jump double dutch? Lucy would pause, look, grin, and say, I'm busy, thank you much. Well, 1 year passed, and believe it or not, she covered every last inch of the entire sidewalk, and she stopped. After all this, you're just giving in today? She said, I'm not giving in, I'm finished, and walked away.
Alright, I got very wrapped up into that. I really like the bouncy beat. Very interested in the character description of Lucy thus far. Really got wrapped up doing that. Aesop rock songs go fast, and I cut it off in the video itself, but I was like 2 verses ahead by the time I realized the first verse was done. It goes that fast. So very cool, enjoying the musicality of it. Now let's get into the wordplay. Alright. Lucy was 7 and wore a head of blue barrettes. City born into this world with no knowledge and no regrets. There you go, that's the name of the song. Had a piece of yellow chalk with which she'd draw upon the street the many faces of the various locals that she would meet. There was Joshua, age 10, bully up the block, who always took her milk money at the morning bus stop. There was Mrs. Crabtree and her poodle. She always gave a wave and a holler on a weekly trip down to the bingo parlor, and she drew men, women, kids, sunsets, clouds, and she drew skyscrapers, fruit stands, cities, towns. You know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of, now this might be either a good reference or very disrespectful. It reminds me of Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. You know, sort of like the many faces of a town, but this one specifically looking through the lens of this 7-year-old Lucy. And it's cool. It's a good way to look at sort of like the perspective, not only of this child, but also the perspective of the residents and how the perspective is perceived, sort of in a way. I am reading a book right now. It's technically one of the few books that I'm reading that I haven't been assigned. Even though it was an assignment to go get the book, but I was supposed to put it back, but instead I took it out of the library, and my other book is overdue. Long story. But this book, I could go get it, but I don't feel like it. That book is on sort of like human origins and it was called The Invention of Prehistory, and it's looking at, and the reason why I got it is because I was told in my writing, because what I focus on, I'm skipping way too many steps. Let's go back to the beginning. My writing has a very big focus on humanity, and especially bring the humanity of non-humans out, which means anything that is not considered to be human, I want to humanize. So what I was told by an archivist was to first operationalize humanity. And to do that, my thought process, and sort of like his at the same time, was to look at the origins of humanity, of human nature, of society, of tendency. So I look at prehistory, and I started reading it. It has this very interesting piece on the Neanderthals and sort of like race perception there. Very cool piece. But like, I'm looking at this right now, maybe through that lens, and looking at the perception of perspective. So I could be imagining and placing this view onto this verse, or I could be, hyper-focused, microscopic, zoned in onto the meaning of this. Alright. Let me actually read this. They'd ask her why she passed the time attaching lines to concrete, but she would only smile. Now while the other children living in or near her building ran around like tyrants, soaking up the open fire hydrants, they would say, "Hey little Lucy, wanna come jump double dutch?" Before I move on, I just like this idea of Lucy being committed to her craft, and even as the other children are partaking in, like, I guess, even though chalk drawing is a very childish thing, her way of going about it and capturing the lives of all these other people, the perception, the perspective of them, that view of it is more mature than the other children. And looking at all these other children sort of oblivious to the world, and phrasing it as tyrants soaking up the open fire hydrants, just playing in water, but they're just absolutely just pure blinders on and refuse to look at what's outside of them in the grander picture. Whereas Lucy is all about the grander picture. Lucy would pause, look, grin, and say, "I'm busy, thank you much." Well, 1 year passed, and believe it or not, she covered every last inch of the entire sidewalk, and she stopped. "Lucy, after all this, you're just giving in today?" She said, "I'm not giving in, I'm finished," and walked away. I like that. It's a good, like, completionism to it. Alright, we got a lot left of this song, so I should stop talking and let's go on. I already listened to this part, but I want to listen to it again because
Hey, 1, 2, 3, that's the speed of the sea. ABC, that's the speed of the D. You could dream a little dream, and you could live a little dream. I'd rather live it. The dream is always chase, but never get it. 1, 2, 3, that's the speed of the sea. ABC, that's the speed of the D. You could dream a little dream, and you could live a little dream. I'd rather live it. The dream is always chase, but never get it. Lucy was 30.
Before we move on to Lucy being 37. 1, 2, 3, that's the speed of the seed. ABC, that's the speed of the need. You can dream a little dream, or you can live a little dream. I'd rather live it, because dreamers always chase but never get it. And then that's repeated. I like that. It's again, it's childish in structure, because 1, 2, 3, ABC, but as it goes on, it talks about the fallacy of dreaming, the actionable nature of dreams and goals, sort of taking a childish ideal and maturing it instead of making it an adult perspective, which is what Lucy is doing with her chalk drawings. Cool.
37, an introverted somewhat. Basement apartment in the same building she grew up in. She traded in her blue barrettes for long locks, held up with a clip, traded in her yellow chalk for charcoal sticks. She drew little Bobby, who would come to sweep the porch. And she drew the mailman, delivered every day at 4. Lucy had very little contact with the folks outside her cubicle day, but found it suitable and she liked it that way. She had a man now, Rico, similar, Herman. They would only see each other once or twice a week on purpose. They appreciated space, and Rico was an artist too, so they'd connect on Saturdays to share the pictures that they drew. No, every...
Alright, let me go jump in halfway through here because there's some thoughts I'm already forming, but I want to read the lyrics first. Lucy was 37 and introverted somewhat, so 30-year time jump. Basement apartment in the same building she grew up in. She traded in her blue barrettes for long locks held up with a clip, traded in her yellow chalk for charcoal sticks. So she's more of like an artsy, sort of off the beaten path experimental artist, is what it's sounding like. And she drew little Bobby, who would come and speak to the porch, and she drew the mailman delivered every day at 4. So instead of drawing her peers and passersby like Joshua, age 10, and Mrs. Crabtree, she's now looking at more like adult figures. And even though Mrs. Crabtree is an adult, she's looking at the adult figures in her life, which is not like a maternal, bystander, but instead the working class sort of everyman, which is like the mailman. So it's a slight transition, but it's a different perspective. So she is acquiring this adult perspective as she goes on. Lucy had very little contact with the folks outside her cubicle day, but found it suitable and she liked it that way. She had a man now, Rico, similar, hermit. They would only see each other once or twice a week on purpose. They appreciated space, and Rico was an artist too, so they connect on Saturdays to share the pictures that they drew. So she found someone very similar to herself. Let's see where this goes.
A month or so, she'd get a knock up on the front door, just one of the neighbors. Acting nice, but thought she was a strange girl, really said, "Hey, Lucy, wanna join me for some lunch?" Lucy would smile and say, "I'm busy, thank you much." The neighbor'd make a weird face the second the door shut, then run and tell her friends how truly crazy Lucy was. And Lucy knew what people thought, but didn't care, cause while they spread their rumors through the streets, she made another masterpiece.
Very cool. Okay, I'm really enjoying this. It does feel, especially because of the beat and how happy-go-lucky, like the bounciness of it is, it definitely does feel cheerier. Alright. I forgot what I was saying, but I'll just continue. And they would make a weird face the second the door shut and run and tell their friends how truly crazy Lucy was. And Lucy knew what people thought but didn't care, because while they spread their rumors through the street, she painted another masterpiece. So again, she's not focused on the perception of herself, she's focused on perceiving the world in which the way she perceives it. Again, no regrets. And we got another chorus here.
1, 2, 3, that's the speed of the sea. ABC, that's the speed of the need. You can dream a little dreamer, you can live a little dream. I'd rather live it. Dreamers always chase but never get it. Lucy was 87 upon a deathbed at the senior home where she had previously checked it. Traded in the locks and clip for a headrest. Traded in the charcoal sticks for arthritis. It had to happen. She drew no more. Just sat and watched the dawn. Had a television in the room that she never turned on. Lucy pinned up a life's worth of pictures on the wall and sat and smiled and looked each one over just to laugh at it all. The Rico he had passed about 5 years back, so the visiting hours pulled in a big flock of nothing. She never spoken much throughout the spanning of her life until the day she leaned forward, grinned and pulled the nurse aside and she said, "Look, I've never had a..."
Alright, it does feel like it took a depressing turn, but according to JP Industry, it wasn't supposed to. So let's analyze this. Now, Lucy was 87, so 50-year time jump. Upon her deathbed at the senior home where she had previously checked in, traded in the locks and clip for a headrest, traded in the charcoal sticks for arthritis. It had to happen. So now she was a child, she was able to draw, and she drew as a young adult, but now she's crossed the line where she can no longer express her art form, which is innately sad. But the addendum of it had to happen is sort of like denying the sadness of that, is like sort of saying like, well, there was no avoiding this. It was always going to happen eventually. I guess an acceptance of age and death. My last video was very topical, I guess. And she drew no more, just sat and watched the dawn, had a television in the room that she never turned on. Lucy pinned up a life's worth of pictures on the wall and sat and smiled and looked each one over just to laugh at it all. Now Rico, he had passed about 5 years back, so the visiting hours pulled in a big flock of nothing. She'd never spoken much throughout the spanning of her life, and until the day she leaned forward, grinned, and pulled the nurse aside, and she said, I mean, innately it is sad, because we've seen this child grow up and then lose her ability to express herself. So let's see if she has something nice to say.
She said, look, I've never had a dream in my life, because a dream is what you want to do but still haven't pursued. I knew what I wanted and did it till it was done, so I've been the dream that I wanted to be since day one. Well, the nurse jumped back. She never heard Lucy even talk, especially words like that. She walked over to the door and pulled it closed behind. Then Lucy blew a kiss to each one of her pictures and she died. 1, 2, 3, that's a speed.
Huh? Huh? Look, I've never had a dream in my life, because a dream is what you want to do but still haven't pursued. We've already gone over this with the chorus. Actionable versus idealism. Actionability versus idealism. Let's use nouns here. Sorry, I'm all over the place because of that last line. I knew what I wanted and did it till it was done. So I've been the dream that I wanted to be since day one. Well, the nurse jumped back. She never heard Lucy even talk, especially words like that. She walked over to the door and pulled it closed behind. Then Lucy blew a kiss to each one of her pictures and she died. Well, I mean, I'm kind of shell-shocked by that ending, but wow, I guess in a way we follow this child throughout her entire life, and there is more to the song, but we follow this child throughout her entire life, growing up into a young adult, doing what she wants, living the dream that she wants to, and then on her deathbed, she's like, you know, I never really had a dream. My dream was my life. I did what I wanted and I got it done. So I guess in a way, this whole song of no regrets, we're looking at it because realistically, she never had any regrets. She never had anything that she strived for that she didn't get, because what she strived for was the life she got, and she never strove for it, she just did it. Because striving for it and wishing for it and dreaming it implies that you don't currently have it, and she always had what she wanted. So in a way, her acceptance of her death, that line that clause that I mentioned, it had to happen. She has loved her life because she did what she wanted to do at every point. And that never strayed, that never changed. That was just the way it was. So I guess there is some solace there. Something to write in her obituary. But yeah. Yeah, let's finish this out.
1, 2, 3, that's the speed of the C. A, B, C, that's the speed of the D. Dream a little dream and you can live a little dream. I'd rather live it, cause dreamers always chase but never get it. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. 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 1, 2, 3.
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily call this a happy-go-lucky song, like it was pitched to me. I think it's a good song, and it's a good message, but there definitely is some innate sadness due to the death involved. And I think it's hard to sort of sparse that out. Let's see what the comments had to say and see how wrong I was about the song. Oh, first, lyric-wise, the ending was the verse repeated, and then the chorus repeated, and then at the end, it just stuck to 1 through 3 ABC, and that echoed. Which, obviously, sort of bringing it back to childish maturity, gone past the point of worthy living. The comments don't really have much to say about the substance of the song itself, more like the artist. But wow, really enjoyed this song. Really is interesting from the perspective of looking at it as, because some of the comments mentioned, looking at it as like an artist, and looking at it as an artist committed to their art form. Because at the end of the day, that is the encapsulation of Lucy as a character, is an artist working towards accomplishing what she sets out to do, and not even working towards, she just does it, which is inspiring in and of itself. and once she's accomplished what she set out to accomplish, she dies. So, yeah. Alright. Anyway, I don't have much more to say about this. I've sort of tired myself out from talking and from the weighty subject of the song. But if you have any thoughts about whether if you disagree with me, agree with me, you like the song, you don't like the song, whatever you think, let me know down below. But that's all from me. So until next time, adieu.